Good afternoon. I'm Connor Fowler.
And I'm Matt Smith.
And I maybe have COVID again. It depends who you ask. I have taken 2 tests so far, one of which was positive, and the other one was negative. You might say that it is an occupational hazard, but that takes away any agency from anyone who is involved in the equation, right? Like, there are people who are forcing me effectively to go to work sick. There are people who are forcing these children to go to school sick. And so a consequence of that is my having COVID again.
Yes.
A disease that we don't understand at all. We don't know like what the long-term ramifications are.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I guess it's good that I quit smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. I'm really, really fun to live in a world where long COVID or whatever the fuck, like something that we don't understand is just dismissed and not studied enough. Really, really great country you got here.
I got long COVID. Pass me the bong COVID. Right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Nice. All right. Yeah.
Something.
I'm really sorry that we subjected our listeners to that, but anyway.
That's going in a reel for sure.
That is going in a reel. Yeah, we, trudging along. We have a nice lineup of episodes coming shortly. And for those that have listened for a while, you probably heard us talk about how goddamn impossible it can be to make an all-remote podcast. It doesn't matter where the person is. Doesn't matter, internet connection issues, whatever. Everything is a slight manner of terrible for the most part. And we put a lot of time and effort into doing this.
Yeah, we really do. And we might have a solution, I guess, with this service that we were using before and we may be using again now. I mean, we just used it to record and it worked. I mean, nothing got messed up. So hopefully we're trudging along in a forward manner as opposed to 2 steps forward, 1 step back, which we're very well acquainted with as well.
Yes. We've gotten a lot of new listeners, a lot of new followers. Thank you for that. We had what did you say the impressions on Spotify have been for like the past month, Connor?
21,000.
Fuck yeah. So we love doing this. We're not bitching to bitch. We're bitching because we actually love doing this and are trying to make it as good as possible.
Well, we just want people to understand that, like, the bad audio quality right at the beginning, some would say maybe continuing, was a little out of our hands, and it remains out of our hands. I think that podcasting is one of a few places where freedom is encouraged, I guess, online.
Yes.
And every little fee is an impediment to that. And every gated off service is an impediment to that. To us getting our word out there, right? Which it's not like we really have an agenda that we're pushing, but we kind of do. And people do not always agree with it.
Yeah.
So we won't be silenced.
It reminds me, and this, this like social media landscape that we have in the year of our Lord Satan 2023. Twitter has gone to dog shit. Instagram went to dog shit a long time ago.
Yeah.
Tumblr was amazing, and then it went to dog shit. And I think it's kind of having a resurgence, but there are ways...
Instagram was good.
Oh, Instagram was great.
Instagram was good.
Yeah, but like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Just bring us back the fucking chronological feed. Like, you can do ads
on any service.
Yeah, you can do ads. I really don't give a shit because I'm terminally on my phone, so like I understand scrolling. dude, I grew up in the late '90s, early 2000s internet that was just nonstop batshittery. But yeah, like the podcasting thing, we don't mind paying money for a good service. It's just that paying money to services that constantly suck or constantly fail is infuriating. Like I've said it,
Yeah.
I've told many people this, but like as a person that relies on Instagram for my business, I would pay $10 a month for, you know, a not like I don't know. I'm not a tech person. I don't know how it would work, but like I would pay $10 a month to have access to an account that like served me well all the time. Like, and I know that like
Ten
it's
for a chronological feed. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, exactly.
I
Like
think they would make tons of money.
so yeah, I mean, and it was great when that was a thing, and now it's just like I'll see something from a good friend that I talk to every single day or like every other day in the vintage scene, and I'll see their post 3 days after it was made. Like this is crazy. Yeah, sorry, we like to go on rants around these parts.
Well, and it's not like a fundraiser, right?
No,
This
no,
is
definitely
us
not.
just saying,
Yeah,
here's the deal.
this is just us using our
We
platform.
try to be transparent.
Yeah, we try to be transparent, and also, as Connor said, like this, like ultimate freedom and liberation for all people to be able to say and like live their lives how they want to is the goal. And having this platform, however small or large it is or becomes, is just it's some way for us to say what's on our mind in ways that we might not be able to in normal everyday life.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I heard this, and Connor, I don't know if you've listened to it yet, but I was loading up in a market yesterday, and the organizers had been playing a playlist all day that was great shit, like right up my alley. Some Charles Bradley, like some '60s like soul and R&B. I can't remember exactly what it was. Just like good happy market music. So there was a 2 hour playlist, and then Spotify just took over after that. And I gotta hand it to them, man. They nailed this one. But toward the end of the day, there was a band from Zambia that was playing, and the song
Wow.
it reminded me of like Sweet Jane from the Velvet Underground, or as I was reminded of yesterday, the Cowboy Junkies cover of Sweet Jane that got radio play in the '90s. But it was just like it immediately drew me to it, and they're called Aminaz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is an acronym for Ask Me About Nice Artists in Zambia, which also might be the best acronym of all
Yeah, which
time.
is so tight.
So tight. The song was Sunday Morning. The album is called Africa, and holy shit, like I love it when a record knocks me on my ass, and this definitely did. It's equal parts like Velvet Underground. It's got a lot of psych rock and a lot of like '70s British like heavy rock influence on it, but definitely fucking check it out. Definitely check it out.
So
Other,
we've got our show with James Darley coming up.
yeah, yeah,
The always dressed to the T, to the nines,
yes.
however you want to describe it. I mean, he always looks fucking great.
We're
And in the way that everyone tries to, right? Like
right,
it
right.
looks like he's not trying very hard.
Yeah, we're not going to use the D word because we're firmly against that on this show. But
Debonair.
debonair is fine. Yes, I was thinking of the
I'm
other
joking.
very terrible. I mean, debonair is cool. Like that's an old school word.
Yeah, Debonair's a good
Bring that
one.
back. D with an A, a couple of P's, and an ER at the end. Not so much.
No.
Yeah, it was a fun combo. We talked about his early life, like growing up in one of the funniest named places of all time, because it probably took them 20 minutes to come up with it. and going to New York City as a child. We talked about he and his partner hiking in the Catskills, which props, man, props. That's all I gotta say, because Connor and I are both lazy
We
pieces.
talked about snowshoes for a first time. There's
And
some interesting snowshoe trivia in
yeah,
this episode.
an actual snowshoe owner, which I didn't know existed outside of maybe Alaska or the tundra of Canada.
He didn't divulge that he owned more than one pair, but it's an open question. I guess we'll have to
It is
have
an
him
open
on again.
question. Yes. Yeah, and then we talked about the worst possible named fashion trend of all time. I don't like superlatives, but like I I kind of got to give it that. But we talked about Gorpcore,
Yeah.
and we also divulged the acronym, which Connor somehow knew and or found. James and I never heard it, and
It's because I know everything.
it is as utterly as ridiculous of an acronym as you could possibly imagine. But you're gonna have to keep listening to hear that.
Yeah. 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 Listen to find out. Scratch to reveal the answer.
Scratch to reveal. Anyway, yeah, that show is coming up. We appreciate everyone listening, following, rating, etc. If you like what we do and want to send us a buck or two, hey, we're not going to turn it down. Connor's Venmo
Fill
is
our coffers.
fill our coffers for our wonderfully amazing, sophisticated setup that we use. Connor's Venmo
And
is
we keep going on fucking vacation with this money, so please keep it up.
anyway. Connor's Venmo is at Connor Fowler, or sorry, Connor Dash Fowler. His PayPal is connorfowler@gmail.com. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks much. Broadcasting live from beneath miles of Montana earth and tons upon tons of structural steel and cement, we have duped yet another accomplished professional into appearing on our silly show. We have here in studio James Darley, political operative somewhere in the United States. Welcome.
Hey, Connor, Matt, it's great to be here.
Oh, thanks for coming on,
Always been a
man.
very big fan of the show. Yeah. It's always been a big fan of the show. I've particularly loved it because I think you bring on some interesting individuals. It's been great to hear from individuals outside of the menswear space, like Shane Curry, Darren Johnston, Zach DeLuca, just to name a few.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
That's a crashing sound of applause.
Yeah, Connor keeps trying to get me on board
No, and that's
with having like a soundboard where we can add in effects, and every time I'm just like, dude, please no. Please no.
it would be like the rooster crowing, like just like a '90s shock jock. I think
Yeah,
it'd be very good, actually. I will make it happen the next time. Mark my words.
of course
Next
you
time it
will.
will
Of
happen.
course. James, how you
I
doing
feel
today,
like you
buddy?
need to. Yeah, no, doing very well. Glad to be on, and I just want to give both of you a big shout out because I know that how time
Duh.
consuming this is with the podcast
I appreciate
between
Well,
the
it.
planning,
you're the one who
talking
has to put
points.
up with our shit.
No, but I mean the two of you, like props to you for taking a vision, and just going with it because
Well,
it's
thank you for always being a
truly a great
supporter.
podcast.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for
Thank
always
you.
being a supporter. I mean, what else is there? What else is there to say? Like,
Right.
you have always talked us up. So I don't know if you're delusional, but it seems to be working out for us so far. I mean, like I said, we have tricked yet another person into appearing on our program. So
Yeah, as you can see,
Yeah.
we're not
Well, I'm
going to
happy
take.
to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. We're not very
I was
good at
gonna say I'm
taking
happy to be here, and
compliments.
no, never. I've
who
never
is?
taken a compliment in my life. People tell me I look nice all the time, and I scoff at them.
You tell them I look like shit.
Yeah, I say, what are you talking about? You blind? So I guess we'll begin. Where are you from?
So I grew up in West New York, which most people think is in New York State, and it's not. It's in New Jersey. So West New York, New Jersey.
Wow.
The founders of the town were, quite creative. They saw that they were west of New York City, and so they said, you know what? I think it would be really good to name our town West New York. So that's how it
Wow.
gets its name.
I am
That is
fascinated.
extraordinary. That's American
Yeah,
ingenuity.
dude. One of the things that, like, I don't know if I've ever actually talked about it on the show, but like, one of the things that makes me laugh so hard are ridiculous names for shit. Like, it could be a
Oh
business,
yeah.
it could be a road, it could be a city like West New York, where it's just like, guys, like, how long did this take you to actually figure out the name of? But yeah, I'm happy to know that people put in, a half hour's worth of effort, and they were like, yeah, fuck this. This is our city.
I like New Directions. New Directions, I have seen at least 3 times. I have photographs of this. I don't know. Sometimes it's a barber shop. New Directions. It is a well-known euphemism. A
Yeah.
well-known euphemism. And so people are on board with it, I guess, when they make their barbershop, New Directions barbershop. I don't know. West New York, not exactly the same, but in that vein.
Yeah. One of my
Yeah, so
favorites.
that's
Sorry, one of my favorites is a hair salon called Curl Up and Dye, DYE, and I see that nearly every week
Wow.
somewhere in the rural South.
Wow. Curl Up and Die is a really good one.
Yeah.
it is.
I'm writing that down. Literally, I'm writing that down. Speaking of literally, today I was trying to communicate to a student because he says literally all the time. Literally, I'm learning the letter B. Whatever. Yes, Noah, you are literally learning the letter B. We're trying to discuss the difference between literal and figurative. This was an interesting discussion to have with a 6-year-old, I guess. I was like, no. Literally, your shirt is blue. Literally, my shirt is yellow and white stripes. But we didn't get very far with that.
So you're from West New York, New Jersey. If you want to divulge because of your status, whereabouts, and you don't have to be specific, are you now?
So right now I'm actually splitting my time. My partner and I split our time between northern New Jersey and Harlem in New York City.
Oh shit. Okay.
We're we're subleasing there right now, but we're looking to permanently move into the city.
Nice.
So basically almost every
Nice,
single
yeah.
week is apartment hunting.
Yeah, which is one
I'm
of the
sure
most
that's
infuriating things.
very demoralizing. Like, I'm trying to help my friend find an apartment in Baltimore, and it's like, this is my best friend on earth for 20 years, and I badly want him to move back to Baltimore. Terrible. And I can only imagine what it's like in New York.
Well, in New York, I mean, it's so fast, the market. I feel like something's there, and then you take a look at it, and the next day there's already an offer on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been an interesting experience.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's kind of the same way in Atlanta. Like, I've had a lot of friends, not myself because I'm a derelict, but looking to buy houses, and that's been their experience. It's like, oh, this is within our budget. It was posted 45 minutes ago, and an hour and a half later, there's an offer on it. Like, really? Like, it happens that fucking fast?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely mad.
Nice. Well,
so what are you wearing today, if you don't mind? I mean,
so how do we want to do this? Top to bottom or bottom to top?
Up to you. Up to you.
This show is about choice. This show is about freedom and liberty. so it's up to you.
All right. So let's go top to bottom.
Excellent.
So it's a little bit chilly here in New York. It was unseasonably warm, but it's luckily feeling more like fall. So I'm wearing a Rubato V-neck sweater, one of their lamb's wool. I'm a big fan of them. They're a Swedish company. They were actually recently in New York City for the Permanent Style pop-up that Simon Crompton usually does. They're two really cool guys, Carl and Oliver. So that's what I got. Underneath it, I actually have a Brookskate chambray shirt.
Ooh,
which I bought. Yeah, I bought it from one of the trad people on Instagram.
One of the trad people. Yeah, they're
Yes.
out there.
So Glengarry Garage. I don't know if you guys have followed him, but yeah,
What?
this is actually where I got the shirt from.
So I have to ask this question. Is that related to Glengarry Glen Ross? It must
So
be.
I think so. I'm not sure though.
Well,
So
so is that a trad movie? Like Pacino
yeah,
is like definitely Italian in that movie. Like his
it
dress is
is.
Italian,
Yeah, yeah,
extremely Italian in that movie. But I think like Kevin Spacey is very the disgraced Kevin Spacey is very like kind of Ivy trim, very put together. Anyway, excellent movie and play.
yeah. I mean, it could be. I feel like now I got to hit him up on Instagram and ask.
You know what I was about to just do?
Do exactly that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So moving on down from there, of course, I feel like you gotta go with one of the most important thing, which is my REI men's merino briefs. It's staple. I mean, I use it when
Wow.
I go hiking, basically anything I do, I'm wearing them. I absolutely love them. I think they are phenomenal.
I have heard so much about the wool briefs and I like have never done it because I feel like I know I will like it and then I will have to spend $30 on each pair of underwear.
Yeah, that's the issue. Luckily, like I always wait for them to get on sale, and I'm an REI member.
I
So I,
see.
I only buy them when they're in discount, but when they're on discount, I buy them in bulk.
Oh,
Because
Okay,
nice.
co-op.
Yeah.
Because you have exposed yourself now for our later section about Gorp and the outdoors, which we
yeah.
did not experience much as we are often locked in a bunker.
So going on to the trousers, I'm wearing made to measure cotton trousers from Stofa, which is
Okay.
a New
Wow.
York
Yeah.
based company.
Love those dudes. Love those dudes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing. I love what they do, especially in terms of sustainability. Agesh, I mean, he's just great when it comes to creativity, making his own fabrics. I think they're just a phenomenal company, and I wish them all the best.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh
think
yeah.
them and 18 East, like Antonio, are probably at this point just like the two raddest menswear brands that I can personally think of because of that attention to detail and that like trying to do shit that nobody else is doing. Whether it's, fabrics or, in Antonio's case, like different kinds of cuts and shit. Like, I don't know. Both of them blow me away.
It's just stuff that people not other people are doing. Like I am cheap and poor, and so I never buy anything retail. But I did buy one piece of 18 East because I was
What
like,
did you
I
get?
gotta fucking, I got these orange cargos, which are made from this like Indian textile that is really beautiful and kind of deep. I think they got some sort of cease and desist for the color of them, I guess, was like too close to a Dickies pant. So I
That
don't know.
that that
I
is
had to have them.
crazy.
Yeah, I had to have them. And then I'm sad because they're drawstring, but they're still great. They're still awesome. I ripped them on my bike the first day that I had them.
I
A huge tear. So that's what I
feel like I
get.
gotta see these on the Insta one of these days.
Oh yeah, they're on there. They're on there. They're the only orange pants that I have.
I gotta take a look now. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I
I'll
think
post
both
them.
of
I'll
those
post
brands are
them.
cool.
Yeah,
And
really.
then
That's
I, I was gonna say, since I'm recording this for my house, I got my house sandals going on,
Gotcha. Okay.
which are some Birkenstock Gizés.
Nice.
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 Yeah, I wear the Bostons in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same here. Same here. Well, I did until I absolutely destroyed my pair. But yeah,
and
what
then I feel
They're
like
shoes
I gotta.
amazing.
what shoes did you wear during the day though is the important question.
Oh,
Oh, so RM Williams Gardeners because it's raining
Oh,
outside.
Jesus Christ, dude.
you really just have fucking
Yeah,
good taste.
great fucking taste.
You really do.
Yeah, RM Williams are some of the best footwear that I've ever personally seen in my entire fucking life. And like I've thrifted a couple of pairs, sadly never my size. But that's like a dream boot for me, especially the Gardener.
Are they black?
Yeah, they're black. I mean,
Nice.
I love my
Nice.
gardeners. Every single time it's raining out there, I'll put them on.
Yeah.
I got them in Vancouver about 2 years ago, and I've never looked back. Absolutely love them, and I wear them to death.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, they're the only whole cut Chelsea boot in existence.
Yeah, that's one of the things that absolutely drew it to me. I
Yeah,
mean, I think just having a whole coup Chelsea, even in the gardener, I mean, I think it gives it a little bit of an elevated look. It gives it a nice, sleek profile.
for sure.
But even because the gardener's a bit more bulbous in terms of the last, because it's meant to be less dressy and more just out there for everyday use.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's one of the things that always attracted me to it.
Hell yeah. Well, since we have established that
Or-
you have just fucking incredible taste, do you remember the first like piece of clothing or footwear or style, something related to dressing that inspired you?
Yeah, so I mean, I was thinking a lot about, what initially drew me to menswear. And I think if I take it all the way back, I didn't grow up in a family where we were constantly dressing up. I mean, my father and my mother, they came here from South America. I'm first generation. My dad was originally from Colombia, came here when he was 20. My mom came here when she was a bit younger, when she was 10 in Ecuador. So growing up, my father, he was a jeweler. He was also a car transporter. And my
Mhm.
mom always worked in the finance industry. So it's not that, some people grow up and they have a large, extensive family and they learn from their father or their uncles or someone who's a figure, and basically they look at that style and they appreciate it from a menswear perspective. But that wasn't the case for me. And even going up through elementary school, I wouldn't say that we were poor, but we were definitely working class. And I went to a public elementary school in West New York, which is a predominantly Latinx community.
Mhm.
Many new immigrants. It's actually an interesting community because in the 60s, a lot of Cubans came in there. So they used to call it Havana on the Hudson.
Oh wow.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah. And then in the 80s and 90s, it shifted over and you saw a lot more Central American immigration into West New York. So it was a very diverse and rich Latinx community, but many people were in similar circumstances. So I think when the first time I needed to start thinking about more tailoring or menswear or more what people probably associate with me now was when I went to high school. And I'm very grateful for my parents because they worked very hard so that they could take me out of the public school system, which was tough in West New York, and put me into a preparatory school in Jersey City
Yeah.
named St. Peter's Prep. It was an all boys high school. But, I think people typically associate preparatory schools as being areas of affluence. That wasn't the case here. This is the New York metro area. Jersey City is now the most populated city in New Jersey, but back then it was in the top three. And it was a large mixture. I mean, it reflected the diversity that the New York metro area has, but we had a
Mhm.
very, very strict dress code. We had to wear a jacket, a dress shirt, a tie, dress slacks, and dress shoes. And it was my first time really being exposed to any of this. And my remember my mom at the time, all her boss, because she worked in finance, had gone to Harvard, and they came from a very affluent Jewish family. And my mom asked,
Mhm.
what should I get my son now that he's going to this preparatory school? And I remember even having a conversation with her boss. And one of the things that first struck me was his Allen Edmonds Park Avenue Oxfords. And there were these
Nice.
I had never seen leather shoes before in my life. And they were, shining, beaming. And I looked to myself and I said, one day that's what I want to get. And that was the first thing that really struck out to me.
That's a great answer.
Wow.
That's a
Well,
really great answer.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
One question would be, were there requirements on the jacket? Like, could you have worn a tweed jacket?
So there were requirements on the jacket. You could wear a tweed jacket. You could basically wear any type of jacket that didn't have a logo.
I see.
Okay, gotcha.
And actually, I prior to this, I was looking because before when we went to prep, we would get a handbook at the beginning of the year, and it was a written handbook. Now it's in a PDF file. So if you don't mind, I actually want to pull up two excerpts that I
Please,
saw
yes,
that
of
are
course.
quite
Please.
interesting.
We love, what is it called? It's a primary source. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Bring
So
it
this
on.
is straight from the 2023-2024 handbook.
Okay.
It says dress shirts are to be worn with properly knotted and positioned ties. Denim, flannel, and corduroy shorts are not dress shirts, nor are Hawaiian shirts or those with large decals and lettering numbering.
Wow.
This is amazing.
Dress slacks are only to be worn. No denim lookalikes, no pants with external pockets, decals, or lettering. No balloon pants, cargo pants, or fatigues, and pants should not be overly turned up at the cuff as to make them
Wow.
short.
Wow. They've really got
Wow.
everyone.
Yeah.
It's
A 2012 hashtag menswear dude that loves his Cuccinelli cargo pants would have been sadly
shot on sight.
like bummed out, just
Not
completely
allowed at all.
demoralized by this dress code.
I know. So, I mean, that's just kind of shows the degree that they would go for the dress code, and it was strictly enforced.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Well, so do you know what a Baltimore accent sounds like? Out of curiosity?
I don't know.
Because I can't do it, but it is odd. And so I say this because if you are to serve on jury duty, you have to call in and listen to this recorded thing. And it's this woman, and she has the most Baltimore voice, and she says, "No leggins, meggins, or jeggins are allowed in the courtroom."
That's great.
That's what I think of. So when did you get your first pair of Allen Edmonds? That's the question, right?
So I actually didn't end up getting my first pair of Allen Edmonds until after grad school when I started my first full-time job.
Wow. What were you doing?
So I studied
If you
history.
don't mind.
No,
Right.
I don't mind. I studied history. I did a ton of internships with historical societies and museums. I thought that was going to be my career path. Came out. It was the Great Recession, and most of those markets are very stagnant.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I couldn't find a job. I applied for literally close to a year and couldn't find an entry level job in that industry. So my mom finally said, you know what, maybe you should look at the finance industry. And I ended up working in the finance industry for about 4 years.
Wow.
Didn't really care for it, but I worked in it. And it was
Right,
during
yeah.
that time that I got my first Allen Edmonds.
Wow.
Nice. I feel like that is the tailored clothing, menswear, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That is the intro shoe. Like it's that and an Alden Color 8 long wing, and those are the two shoes that everyone wants, like out of the gate.
Or like a Florsheim Imperial
Yeah.
V-cleat, something.
Yeah,
That's like
well,
a little lower.
I'm talking
but it's
more.
like
Well, back in the day, they were equal level with Alden. I'm talking about
the
like
gunboats.
more modern. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the same shit.
So I was going to ask you, and I think I know the answer now. Like, could you customize your uniform in some way? Like, did you do anything to like stand out?
So, I mean, you could customize it in the sense that you could. So there was a rule there that said you could either wear a tie or a turtleneck.
Huh.
And I've even to this day, I don't like wearing ties. I like the way ties look, but I find them to be incredibly uncomfortable. So back when obviously when you're in high school and you're having lunch and you want to go and play soccer or basketball or something with your friends, you probably don't want to wear a tie. Most people between 13 and 17 don't want to wear a tie every single day. So when it used to get very cold out, and at this time, I didn't know that this was a New England thing. I thought I was cool, and I would put on my turtleneck and then a dress shirt on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good look though.
Yeah, so that's the way I would customize it, and I would just go around, and then I started to see more and more people do it, and it kind of became a thing
You
where
were a
people were just
trendsetter.
ditching the tie and putting on a turtleneck.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You were doing your like wannabe like 60s coffee shop folk thing your own way.
It would be
Yeah,
like a beatnik.
Yeah, beatnik shit.
exactly.
That's like a beatnik look. Yeah.
V-neck
Yeah.
look, yeah.
Which is cool.
Hell yeah, it is cool. That kind of leads perfectly into the next question, which is I don't know how that happened, but we basically you could look like Steve Bannon or which is where the shirt and the layers come in or whatever, or any of the other thousands of shitty looking representatives and people in government, but you choose not to. Like what when you're going to work and getting ready in the morning, like what inspires you to get dressed?
I think it really comes down to three things. It's as much as I think there's a lot of influence in when you're in your adolescence and people tell you something, and at going to prep every single day, they would state to you, you need to look a certain way because individuals perceive people based on how they look. And that was something that was ingrained in me probably between the ages of 13 to 17 on a regular basis. And even to this day, because I work in politics and government and specifically in legislation, and a lot what you need to do in these meetings is influence people. And I think when you're trying to portray yourself as somebody who's going to be honest, who is going to be a straight shooter and talk a certain way, and you're dressed in a conservative manner, people kind of associate the two things together. Whether that's better or for worse, I think there's an association in the US of it. So that's one of the reasons. And the second one is that I work in a field where I've worked for several different politicians. And as a staff member, you're an extension of that person. That's the individual who's been elected by the voters to represent them. And many times you take on a similar wardrobe to what they wear. And in New Jersey, especially northern New Jersey, where you have a very large Italian American influence, there tends to be a very conservative thought to dress, especially in the political sphere. If you're in a meeting, you're expected to be in a conservative suit and a tie. And that's been the case with my previous boss, who was a county commissioner, Italian American in Bergen County. And my other boss at the state legislature, he's not Italian American, he's Jewish, but he also comes from a conservative dressing background, and he expects a certain type of, I guess, a wardrobe to be worn when it comes to meetings. So that's always at the top of mind when I'm getting dressed in the morning.
If you had told me that you were in the military, I would have believed you.
Yeah?
Without question, yeah. I would have been like, yeah, this makes perfect sense.
Is that the haircut?
That's interesting.
No, dude, it's the like adherence, I guess. It's the like routine. It's the like I dress like I am able to dress the same way every single day. It's the discipline,
Right.
I guess.
Okay.
It's not like a boring thing. It's like a tradition thing. Like you were just saying, it's about tradition. It's about projecting a certain image, which you are a master at. Clearly.
I think that's really the case when most of us are getting dressed, is that we're trying to project an image. It's interesting. It's something that I've always loved about menswear, and not just tailoring, and not just menswear. I mean, fashion in general. When it comes to all different facets of individuals getting dressed. I just find it interesting as to, what are they trying to portray to the world? What has influenced their style?
Right, right, right. Because if I wore sweatpants to the school, I'd be fucking lunch meat. I would be gobbled up. I would be destroyed, So I have to wear the tie. I have to wear a jacket. Because
I,
you think that a 5-year-old doesn't get it. The 5-year-old gets it, They're very perceptive.
I'm actually interested, Connor. Do most teachers dress similar to you?
No, my God,
No.
no. I would say, so there are very few male educators at all. It's like me and one other guy in the school who is actually on this show, Mr. Fleming. Mr. Fleming wears tailoring a lot because he's younger, and so he wants it to be like the teacher image and not the guy just wearing a jacket, because kids can tell if you're faking it.
Yeah.
As I am. Right. So they really, do behave for me. They don't mess around with me at all because they can see that I take my job seriously. And I think some other people in the school, they really have a hard time. So it's really about projection, I guess.
So you think that if you dress differently, that your interactions with the kids would be slightly different than what they are now? They would be able to perceive that?
When I started out, I wore joggers and combat boots. I wore black joggers, black hoodie, olive fishtail parka, mirrored sunglasses every day. I looked like the Unabomber, I was serious. I was very serious, but it was the wrong image, There was no reference for this. I looked like I was a VC or something. I was not there to be doing the job of a teacher. And so I think it was very hard for me to control. It was an impossible assignment. It was 37 students, which
Yeah,
try to try to
teacher student
wrangle
ratio,
37
geez.
adults.
Oh,
Yeah, try to wrangle 37 literate adults who like you.
yeah.
It is not an easy task. So yeah, I think I had to start dressing the part, and now the results are, I think, speak for themselves.
That's awesome. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, thank you. To toot my own horn a little bit.
So when did you kind of get into the online menswear culture, James?
I didn't really get onto the online menswear culture probably until around COVID.
Oh,
Really?
interesting.
I
Yeah.
would have thought you were an old hand.
No, I think when I was just going through the journey, I was wondering if there was anybody else out there. And one of the things I had never really done was look on the internet. And I remember first stumbling upon dye workwear and reading some of the articles and saying, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Of
Shout
course,
out,
Then I
the
stumbled
shout out,
on,
Derek.
guy.
Yes.
Right.
yeah, Derek's amazing. Then of course put this on and eventually
Mhm.
gravitating to Style Forum. And then I thought when I joined Style Forum, it was great to be able to interact with people who had similar interests and just be able to talk about different products, learn new different things.
Yeah.
But prior to COVID, I really didn't, even know that this existed on the internet.
That's
I just never had really searched for it.
that's really cool.
It's very surprising.
Yeah. It also surprising, but we've heard that from other people as well. That they might have been around it a little bit here and there, but then COVID and everything just really ramped up their need for finding a community. Which, I think we all can agree that has been a part of our lives for the past few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see out of COVID how many small businesses have been formed, how many people have found their hobbies just
Yeah.
because they were searching for something to do during that time.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's one of, unfortunately, as horrible as COVID has been, it's been one of the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the piss poor governmental response, of course, people have really shown their resilience and shown their ingenuity and creativity. Like, yeah, I mean, this show has come out of that.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Pretty much.
Not even basically, you know, this has been, because sometimes I tell people about, so of course I tell people about the show, but like, I tell people about my life, like, oh, I take at least 10 pictures of myself every day. It's my fit pick. What is a fit pick?
Yeah.
What do you mean a fit pick? Right, it's an outfit picture, a picture of my outfit, which I do daily, because people are curious what I am wearing. Some people allegedly are curious what I'm wearing. But it's like, you couldn't make it up. It's just a weird community that we are all happy to be a part of.
Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds finding other nerds to nerd out about things with. Like, what it boils down to, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you? So you're posting on Styleforum regularly at like right now, like in 2023 currently, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Like
so I don't post fit pics on Styleforum, but I usually comment, especially on the ongoing bespoke projects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I usually talk about Neapolitan tailoring there, and some of the Neapolitan tailors that are now coming to New York City.
Hell yeah! I will say you dodged a massive bullet by getting onto Styleforum in like 2020, because those message boards used to be, especially the "What are you wearing today" threads, used to be like just roasting people all the fucking
Vicious.
time. Fucking vicious. And I'm curious as to how it is now. Like, I'm hoping a lot of people have chilled out about shit.
I mean, by and large, I think there still is a little bit of that, but I think by and large, people are actually there because they want to have conversations with others in the space,
For sure,
and have educated conversations.
Yeah, that was always my intent with it. Like, it was something that I thought was cool, and like you said, you wanted to like know that other people also thought the same thing was cool, and just like, yeah, like talk about things and learn. Dude, I can't tell you how much shit that I've learned over the years on message boards from
You want someone to pat you on the back. You want someone to like give you some recognition that you do this insane thing every day where you set up a tripod and take a picture of yourself, you know? Keep going for whatever reason.
Right. I did not get as many compliments as I would have liked over the years. I mean, I'm not saying that I was like a bad poster or whatever, but like I'm very particular about shit, and people sometimes just can't seem to grasp that like I wear the things that I do the way that I do because it makes me feel good. And so it's like, oh, your pants are too short. Motherfucker, I'm 5'9". Like, I like short pants. I don't want my pants to touch my fucking shoes. Or yeah, things like that. But yeah, overall it was a fun thing. But the viciousness of it all was also like objectively funny in certain ways, because I'm imagining this like 55-year-old lawyer sitting in his office, you know, like berating,
chopping on a cigar.
Yeah, berating some kid that just like, hey, I got my first blue blazer. How does it fit? Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong.
You clown. You
You
criminal.
should fucking
it's a
burn.
war crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Slobodan Milosevic over here.
Go out into your yard and set that shit on fire. Like, what? How on earth? Like, yo, tell him how he can change it, because that's why he's posting this to begin with.
Yeah, I think
people were not interested in constructive criticism. Time was.
I'd say that was one of my biggest pet peeves with the Ivy Style Facebook group.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. I can only
imagine a fucking Facebook group what it would be like.
Yeah, I think there's like a very rigid thought of like, this is Ivy, and there's nothing else. If it deviates from that, just absolutely crushing and roasting people.
Well, it's like the very tip of Ivy Style is a white supremacist ideology. I think it is inarguable. Like, there are the Ivy purists. What do you think else they are pure about? I wonder.
Yeah. That's why I was a big fan of Berkeley Breeze before his Instagram went down, because he would basically look at it, the whole gamut of yearbooks of preparatory schools and show that, Ivy style is just not this waspy thing,
Totally.
but it was integrated into cultures all throughout the US.
Not a monolith.
Yeah, definitely not a
Exactly.
monolith. And like the uh, uh, one of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes is the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess the desire behind a person wearing an Ivy thing. Like, there's so many different things that drive a person into that look. And yeah, like whether it's subversion or whether it's conformity is kind of like the root of the question, because there's so
Yeah.
many different like experiences with Ivy and trad or whatever and tailoring in general.
And that's why we give you so much money, Matt, for making points like that. No, I mean, I think that's really good. I mean, subversion or conformity, like, that is kind of the yin yang of Ivy style. Like, are you doing this in an ironic way, or are you doing this for real? Like, do you want to go to Brown? So, yeah, I wanted to ask about tailoring, I guess. You say Neapolitan bespoke tailoring, that rings a bell. I think and I don't want to like lavish you with compliments, but like, the fit of your clothing is really, really impressive. Like, it's uniform, it's across the board. It's like everything always fits, everything always looks good, everything is always flattering. So, like, what is the root of that? I mean, was it a trial and error?
So I think if I go back to when I first started having to wear tailoring on a daily basis because I worked in finance,
Right, right.
and we're
And
we're
what were you
talking
doing,
about
if you don't mind? You're like a bond trader?
no, so I started off in asset-based lending, and then
Okay,
I went to hedge funds for one of the large international banks.
I see. So you're really doing the deed.
Yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. I've always enjoyed been have an inquisitive mind, so it was interesting for the time that I did it, but I knew that it was not something that I wanted to do as a career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine like sometimes if you're not of a certain mindset, it can be soul sucking.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
absolutely. I think anything that you working extremely long hours, you need to be passionate about at some level.
Yeah,
If not, it's just exactly that, soul
yeah,
Well, and
sucking.
it's hard to be truly passionate about money. It is a thing that has nothing. It has no soul. So it's a constant quest for that, is like
Yeah.
exhausting. I mean, I worked in finance too. I was a copywriter, and like, it was my job to write copy that was like, the point was to scare people. Where will you be when the dollar dies? That kind of thing. So I am also happy to not be in that arena any longer.
So I guess going back to then when I originally started off in the finance industry,
Yeah,
I didn't really have any types of guides. I wouldn't read magazines. I wouldn't really look at the internet. I mean, as we talked about before, just started finding kind of this community during COVID. So for me, my only reference was what I had learned when I was in prep school, what I had learned from my mom's bosses, and it was what you would expect of American tailoring.
yeah.
It was Alden, Allen Edmonds, Brooks Brothers, J Press, a little bit of Ralph Lauren, and that was kind of the my base and my first foray into tailoring. So I remember walking in when you join the finance industry, especially at one of these banks, they would give you a card.
They
It was a
brand you.
discount. Yeah, they would give you a discount card. And the discount card was for like several of the menswear places. And I saw that it was 20% off Brooks Brothers. And I had never been
Wow.
in a Brooks Brothers store in my life. So I went over to the one on Fifth Avenue that has since closed. I
Sadly.
remember walking through
Mhm.
these doors and just being completely overwhelmed. It was
Yeah.
4 stories. They had an escalator in the building. You're immediately greeted when you're coming in. And it's like, sir, like what are you looking for? How can I help you today? And I thought to myself, I don't even know what I'm looking for, besides the fact that I know I need to buy clothing.
Right.
So that's how I kind of first started off, is just going to Brooks, buying some of the basics like dress shirts, Oxford cloth button downs,
The OCBD, of course.
yeah, OCBDs, navy blazer, buying the two suit special. And then as I started to evolve, that had always served as my basis for tailoring, like well up into, I would say, the past 2 or 3 years. And it was through style form and dye workwear that I started learning about different approaches to tailoring outside of the United States. Like, what is Italian tailoring? What is British tailoring? What is French tailoring? And what are the specific nuances of each?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I still to this day wear a suit nearly 3 times a week. So I should probably invest money in terms of finding a specific style that I like, and something I'm going to feel comfortable in, that I'm going to be wearing for 13, 14 hours throughout the day. And that's how kind of I ended up gravitating towards Neapolitan tailoring, just because of how unstructured it is. Some people will debate, whether or not it's appropriate as a business suit or whatnot. But for me, it's just something that I put on. Feels like a second sweater, feels comfortable. And for the bespoke process, especially if you're going to Napoli to get it, it's relatively, and I'm going to put that in quotes, cheap. Because if you're looking at a bespoke garment in the United States to a trunk show, you're easily looking like $4,000 to $6,000, and that's
Right.
not the case for a lot of these Neapolitan houses.
What does that run, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, just as an average, like.
Well, it depends who's introducing. There's
Yeah.
so many of
Right.
them. Like, what is the size of the house? But I would say on the low end, you're probably looking at 1,200 to 1,500 euros.
Which is, I mean, not unreasonable, I wouldn't
Yeah,
say.
that's insanely reasonable. Holy shit.
Yeah, for bespoke, I would say that's very, very reasonable.
Yeah.
And typically you're going to be capped off, unless you're talking about Rubinacci, which is probably the largest house in the Neapolitan tailoring. Probably, I would say, around 3,500 to 4,000 euros, which is
Okay.
still a lot less than what you would see from British bespoke
Right.
tailors.
Yeah. I mean, I sold Hickey Freeman at one of my past jobs, and like a Hickey suit, in a good cloth, not like a amazing cloth, was like $2,500 for like a made to measure. So yeah,
Yeah.
like go. I mean, all things factored in, like flying to Napoli, etc. Like maybe it's not as like much of a quote unquote deal, but I mean that's still absurd to me for like that level of craft.
Yeah. Should we, I think, define bespoke, just in case there are people who don't know? It means the cloth is spoken for, right? Someone
Yes.
has claimed it. It's a custom order.
Yeah. And it kind of differs from made to measure, in the sense that you have your own pattern drafted for you, rather than using a pre-existing pattern,
Yes.
and then making tweaks to it.
Yes. If you want to go down the deepest of rabbit holes, look at Derek Guy's writing on made to measure versus bespoke versus custom, etc. It's a
That
treasure trove.
GQ article that just came out about the disappearing tailors of Napoli.
Yeah, also
which I
fantastic
shared
read.
with James, actually. Yeah, amazing, amazing article. Beautifully written and a really terrific photography as well.
Yeah, honestly, one of the best
Yeah,
GQ,
no,
one of the best GQ articles I've seen in probably 10 years.
Yeah, in a long, long time. There was really a standout, like knockout piece. You will read the entire thing in 2 minutes. Like just amazing work.
yeah, it was a phenomenal piece, and I was so grateful when you sent it to me. I didn't even know that it was there, and then I read it. I was like, this is an excellent piece.
Yeah,
Well, and this is the whole of it, right? Like otherwise, without this community, I wouldn't have had anyone to send it to.
Exactly.
Right? I would have no one to talk about it with. I would have no one to appreciate it with. Because doing stuff, there's this idea, especially in this country, that doing things alone is virtuous, when in fact it's hollow.
rugged
It's lonely.
individuality,
Right.
baby. Fucking
It's so
drives me up the
bad.
wall.
If you can't say, look at this guy's shirt, look at how cool this guy's shirt is. What do you have even?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you mentioned you mentioned being an outdoorsman a couple of times already, and from our extensive research, we learned that you're a member of a couple of clubs.
Yeah, so I had always been an outdoorsy person because my father, growing up, he loved being in the outdoors,
Yeah.
and if I wasn't going to either see a museum or some sort of musical with my mom on the weekends in New York City, because West New York is so close to the city, I would be outdoors with my father, whether it be fishing, camping, hiking. And because of that, I always just love that kind of yin and yang. I love the city and the energy that it brings, but also just being outdoors, I find to be absolutely therapeutic. And when it came to COVID, my partner and I, we were trying to find something to do together, something that we could leave the house and be able to enjoy. And we started hiking in the Catskills, which is about 2.5 hour drive for us. So about 4 to 5 hours round trip. And we went up there, we did one or two peaks, and then all of a sudden we learned that there was a club called the 3500 Club. And in order to become a member of the 3500 Club, you need to hike every single peak in the Catskills above 3,500 feet. And then you have
Wow.
to hike four of them in the winter. So we said,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna do this together.
Because it's snowy, right? I mean, I assume it's at least a little snowy.
It depending on the winter, it could be a little snowy. I remember when we did one of the peaks, it had recently gotten 3 feet of snowfall. So
Wow.
we went out there in our snowshoes, and some of it was a lot of fun.
So
We did it.
you have snowshoes.
Yes.
You were like, that's like real. So you put them onto your boot.
Yeah. So exactly, you put your boot, and then the snowshoe is attached. There's different
Okay.
attachment points based on the snowshoe, but in New York State, it's very important. In some areas, it's illegal to hike in the winter after you have 8 inches of snow without snowshoes because they can be dangerous. They cause something called post holing. So when it gets warm, all that compact snow underneath starts melting. So
Mm-hmm.
when all of a sudden when you're hiking and if you don't have the snowshoe to displace your weight, you could find yourself creating a hole that could be a foot deep, which is dangerous for you and extremely dangerous for other people hiking because
Right.
when they're hiking, if they get caught up in that hole, once it ices over again because of the temperature, could lead to a broken leg, a broken ankle. So that's why in some areas it's actually illegal to hike without a snowshoes in the winter.
Wow.
the more you know.
Yeah, I never would have considered that in my life. And I love the outdoors. I don't love being in the outdoors. I think
How does that work?
my skin is very fair, and so I burn, and I also am extremely lazy. So I don't like to walk. And hiking at the very least involves walking, if not a little more of a trot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have enjoyed it. I like to hike around stuff. It just is daunting, and I don't even know how you would do it in inclement weather. I just am kind of a baby, I guess.
I mean,
I think that that's how many peaks is that? The 3,500 Club.
so it's actually varied. Two of the peaks used to be in private property, and the owners no longer allow access. But it was 39 summits in total that we did to become 3,500
Wow.
club members.
Jesus
Wow,
Christ.
that's crazy. So did you get a 20% off Brooks Brothers coupon when you got in?
When I got to the last summit,
They gave you that. They gave you an REI membership.
REI membership, free membership for life.
Hell yeah. That's amazing though. I think that's really cool. What kind of boots do you wear?
So I have two boots. I have one for the summer and then one for the winter. For the summer, it's the La Sportiva Nucleo, which is actually, funny enough, Italian hiking company.
Well, because they have a lot, right? Like the Italians make a lot of hiking boots.
They do. They make quite a bit of hiking boots. So for those, I mean, I like them because this varies from person to person. Some people don't want ankle support when they're hiking. They feel that they could move freer and cover better distances. I do. So that's more of a high top boot.
That seems like, again, I am not an outdoorsman, but like it would seem to me that not supporting your ankle is a bad idea.
I think so, but some people prefer not to have ankle support when they're hiking. It's
Do
all
we have
relative.
a name for them? Is there like a slur for someone who doesn't use ankle support?
No, not that I know of, at least.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what it would be. We'll return to that idea.
Yeah, let's return to that. And then for the winter ones, I just have ones that I bought at a Columbia outlet probably like 10 years ago. And I love them. I don't even know what model they are, but I've used them for 10 seasons now, and they keep on giving.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. That's quality right there, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Being involved with the outdoors, and obviously like at this point things are insanely technical, but in recent years, and I'm gonna hate myself for saying this fucking term, but we have seen the rise of quote unquote Gorpcore, and I can't remember. I think Gorp is an acronym for something, but I'm blanking.
It sure is.
What is it?
Do you know, James?
I actually don't.
Well, I'll enlighten you guys. It stands for good old raisins and peanuts, like a trail mix.
Now
like trail mix, for example.
Now I'm even more embarrassed.
Now it makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
makes it a lot worse.
As if Gorpcore as a word couldn't be bad enough. The fucking acronym.
Gorpcore sounds like a death metal genre.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking.
We're in a Gorpcore band. I mean, it's pretty heavy, pretty loud.
Yeah, to me, Gorpcore sounds like a Saw movie title or like a subtitle.
It sounds pornographic. Also, okay, I mean, it sounds like a euphemism for something.
We're meandering. Anyway, so yeah, we've got this rise in like the fashion world of this particular style of like outdoorsy stuff. I guess the jury's still out on like what most people are wearing is actually practical for the outdoors versus not. That's not the question. But I would love to hear your take on seeing this kind of shit in a more like high fashion element versus like you on a summit in the Catskills.
I mean, I found it interesting. I've seen it a lot in New York City, especially in the last 2 years. I've all of a sudden seen people wearing Sportivas, Solomon, and Solomon has become huge.
Right. People like that branding.
Yeah, more the hipster and Gorpy community. I personally don't have anything against it. I personally don't have anything against it. I mean, I think when it comes to it, fashion style is how you want to express yourself.
Totally.
And I think maybe it also had some positive influences that some of these lesser known companies that were just out there making outdoor gear have now been able to increase their revenue and create both a fashion stream. Because I think while Gorpcore, it could be debated whether or not it's seen its zenith. I think with many of these things in fashion, you see that it comes in waves. So definitely, I think it's going to be something that continues. So I personally think that I think it's great for people to have found this. Maybe it's a bit overkill for a lot of the things that you're going to be doing on a daily basis, and
Right.
there's specific reasons for it. But I mean, props to them to find something that they enjoy wearing.
I feel like there's definitely a balance to be struck between an actual like everyday fit that is practical and makes you feel good versus like a Reddit fit that goes the hardest possible with like all of these different elements. You're like, is that really something you want to like go get coffee in? Like a little unnecessary at times, I think.
We pride ourselves on this show with being linguistic innovators. And by this I mean some things are said on this show that I am positive are not said elsewhere on Earth by anyone. For example, Gorpcore Zenith. I don't think anyone has said that phrase. I bet you are unique in saying that phrase.
I like it. It struck me. That was a very
I wrote it down.
Very fantastic way to put it.
And so right. And so it's real. So I guess we will wrap up. I have a question for you burning a hole inside me. What kind of trail mix do you like? Do you even like trail mix? Should it have raisins in it?
So I don't use trail mix.
Wow.
Are
you like a protein shake? Like you have like a bandolier of protein shakes and you're just like guzzling them down?
I wish. I actually love RX bars.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good.
So that's usually what I use when I'm on the hiking trail. But yeah, I've never been a fan of trail mix. I don't know, something about nuts and raisins and chocolate.
So you're anti. I'm pro.
I love
it. I think very good.
I am confident in saying that we are a pro trail mix show because I also love trail mix.
Hell yeah. We're a Gorpy outfit.
I am vegan.
I'm definitely in the minority when it comes to this.
Yeah, I'm vegan, so I have to stay away from ones with like M&M or M&M, offshoot things in it. But like
affiliates, M&M affiliates.
Yeah, when I am like in the middle of nowhere and I stop at a gas station because I need like a snack, like trail mix is one of the like 3 things that I regularly choose.
I like to eat things by the handful, and so it's good.
I don't love that.
It's nice to eat things by the handful.
Yeah,
I was gonna say one more thing too. You are like me, James, an incognito Latino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so shocked when you told me that, by the way.
Well, it's very shocking. No one has any clue. But yeah, my grandmother came from Honduras.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
I get all sorts of stuff. I mean, I think one time a person has actually guessed the correct country that I'm from.
Right.
But besides that, I get Italian. I live close to a Turkish community. I go into a Turkish restaurant. People are speaking to me in Turkish. I get Turkish. I get Lebanese. I've gotten Southeast Asian. Yeah.
I mean, just personally, I can see the Italian. Like that would have been my guess.
Well, and you say Italian too, which like makes it very convincing.
But yeah, that was super cool to learn about that. That your background is from Honduras.
You just are a nice person. You know that? You're just an extremely nice person. And so it's been awesome to have you on the show. I mean, this has been a long time in the works. And so we're happy that we were finally able to get it because you're not sick anymore. I'm a little sick. It just, it's a shitty thing.
My voice is not shot from screaming like it was on the last one. Anyway, James, dude, I just want to echo what Connor said. Thank you for coming on. This has been great. And we always like to give the guests a chance to shout out themselves or something that they would like to. So here's yours.
No, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. The only thing I would say is I really value communicating with other people in the space. I think it's a really fun community, whether it's via Style Forum or Instagram. Just the way that Connor sent me over that amazing GQ article. If you ever want to reach out on Instagram, my handle is Blazers and Button Downs, so you'll find me there. Always happy to connect with people. Always happy to discuss different things,
He'll help
especially
you
when
with
it
your
comes to
outfit.
this
Yeah,
small little community.
If you wear like tailored clothing or nicer things on the regular, it's a great source of inspiration because it like Connor said, just gonna reiterate, it fucking fits perfectly.
Yeah, James will talk to you about it, and not even in like an annoying, overly long-winded way, just a like unlearned way, a way of knowledge.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
the two of you are far too kind, and keep up the podcast because it's amazing.
Thank you very much.
we
You
certainly
heard it here first.
you heard it here first. We certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate everyone that listens. Please rate on whatever your platform of choice is.
And follow us too.
Follow us at Apocalypse Duds on Instagram. If you would like to send us an email, I'm going to keep making this fucking stupid joke. It's apocalypseduds@gmail.com. And yeah, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Toodaloo.